Hey, thanks for joining me. This is going to be a fun one, as you probably guessed from the thumbnail, so lots of things to cover. Let's dive right in. So over the past year or two, I've reviewed a number of BougeRV products, and I've reviewed a couple of their solar panels. I've reviewed their E35 dual zone portable fridge freezer, their versatile CR Pro 30 quart fridge freezer, and their self-heating battery. I've also reviewed, let's see, their 40 amp solar charge controller, the 2000 watt AC inverter, and this Flash300 right here, which by the way is legitimately one of the best built 300 watt power stations that I have seen. And by the way, if you want to see that Flash300 review, I'll put a link down in the description of the video for you to check it out. Now, but the main reason that I continue to review these BougeRV products is that they've always seemed to have been a kind of a nice mix of quality and value. And the fact that BougeRV as a company is still going strong after 6 years, continuing to innovate in this product space kind of gives me a continued confidence in the products that they're bringing to market and their ability to support them. So BougeRV actually reached out to me about several weeks ago to let me know about some exciting things that they are doing as part of their 6th anniversary celebration. So first, between now and August 31st, they've got their best sales of the year across their entire product line with discounts up to 55% off. But they're not stopping there. As the video thumbnail indicated, they're actually giving away not one or two, but actually 3 of these Flash300 power stations. And I'll explain the rules to enter that later in the video, so do stay tuned for that. And also do be aware, and I'll apologize for this in advance, that due to the customs complexities and the shipping costs associated with shipping internationally, BougeRV is requiring you to have a US-based shipping address to be eligible for this particular giveaway. So again, my apologies if you happen to be a non-US viewer. But in addition to that power station giveaway, they're also providing me a discount code for a massive 25% off of their entire CR Pro portable DC fridge freezer lineup. And as far as I'm aware, that's the biggest discount you're going to find on these kinds of versatile fridges. So I'll put that in the description below, kind of per usual, for your convenience. And by the way, that discount code will be only valid through the end of August, so August 31st, 2023. So if you happen to be in the market for a quality portable DC fridge that doesn't break the budget, now's definitely your golden opportunity. But in addition to all of that, BougeRV is just now launching a very cool new power station through an Indiegogo campaign, and I was lucky enough to get my hands on one. It's this guy right here. This is the Rover2000. And when we get into the specs on this thing, I think you're going to be pretty impressed by what they've done with this. And before I get into those juicy details, let's jump back in time a few weeks so you can see what it comes with right out of the box. All right, so this is the unit. I put it on a little Lazy Susan so I can easily move it around because there's stuff on the front and the back. But before we get into that, we've got the standard BougeRV user guide, and I've always liked their user guides. Little warranty registration. This does have a 5-year warranty, by the way. So 5 years, that's outstanding, especially considering that BougeRV is now an established brand in this business. Let's see what cables it comes with. So obviously, this is the standard computer style AC cable. All right, so this is an adapter, so you can charge this from your car, plug that into the power station, plug that into your car's 12 volt, and charge it right off of that. I imagine that would take a very long time given the 2000 watt hour capacity of that, but you can do it. And then last but not least, they do give you a nice MC4 to Anderson connector there. All right, let's jump back forward into time where I've had a chance to look over all the specs, and I'll cover that with you, and then we'll get into the actual testing performance. So see you in a couple seconds. So just what is so cool about this Rover2000? Well, for starters, it uses semi-solid state gel pouch cells, making it one of the smallest, lightest, and yet safest 2000 watt power stations on the market. And if you want to see what I mean by safest, I'll leave a link to a video showing a guy putting a bullet through one of these pouch cells. I'll put that down in the description below if you want to go check that out. And how much smaller? Anywhere from 10 to 25% smaller than comparable 2000 watt hour power stations. So it measures only about just under 16 inches in this direction here and about a little over 11 inches tall. And by the way, those semi-solid state cells are rated for over 3,000 full charge and discharge cycles. So that should easily net you well over 10 years or more with daily use. So it does have a pure sine wave AC inverter rated for a continuous 2200 watts output with a surge up to 4,000 watts. And you can get AC fast charging on this thing, which will charge it up in just about an hour and a half. And if you were expecting to be disappointed by the solar charging limitations of the Rover2000, well, I think you are probably going to be disappointed. Actually by your expectations, not the actual solar input specs. Because this thing has a max solar input of 1,500 watts. Yeah, you actually heard me correctly. 1,500 watts solar input capability on this. And the solar input range is anywhere from down as low as 11 volts up to 100 volts, which is a really nice range, and up to 30 amps. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, with a lot, maybe even most expandable power stations, their Achilles heel seems to often be that they don't allow enough solar input to be practical when you start adding those capacity expansions. So with this guy, with that 1500 watts of solar input on the Rover 2000, you could still fully charge this thing in a single day of full sun, even if you max out the expansion capacity, which happens to be a whopping 8,000 watt hours or 8 kilowatt hours. Now, in terms of outputs, it's got 5 AC outputs here on the back. On the front, you've got a typical 12 volt 10 amp car socket. You've got 2 DC 5525 accessory ports, and note that those are 5525 and not 5521. And then it's got 3 18 watt USB-A ports and 3 USB-C ports, all of which are PD100 ports. So that's pretty cool. And if I didn't mention it yet, it does actually have a 5-year warranty. And that tells me that BougeRV's confidence in the build quality of this unit is right in line with my initial impressions of just how well built this Rover 2000 appears to be. Okay, let's find out if this thing can live up to all of those juicy specs. Okay, let's do a DC discharge test so we can find out what the usable capacity is just from a single Rover 2000 by itself. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the, let's see, I think we're on and we're fully charged. Yep, 100%. I love this nice big color display. This is so much nicer than some of the other ones that I've seen. All right, we're going to turn on the DC ports. I'm not sure if I have to long press. Yep, long press, okay. And we are pulling just under 10 amps and currently 11.4 watts. So along the way, I'll also verify that we have a regulated 12 volt port or not. I assume that we probably do, but we'll make sure. And we'll find out when this thing fully depletes how many watt hours we were actually able to get out of the DC ports. So we'll check back when it's done. You can see here we are still outputting power, but getting a flashing state of charge indicator, but we are also still outputting 11.7 volts. So definitely a regulated 12 volt outlet. All right, that usable capacity through the DC port test is finally finished. And let's see what we got here. All right, so as you can see, we got 1,665 watt hours usable out of that DC port. And that is I would say on the upper side of average for these power stations in terms of usable capacity versus rated capacity out of the DC port, at least using this particular battery tester. All right, let's do an AC inverter capacity test, find out how efficient that 2,000 watt hour rated is coming through the AC inverter. So I've got this fully charged back up to 100%, and I've got an oil heater on the floor, and I'm going to track this with this particular AC watt meter, and we were going to find out that should kick on here any second, start drawing power. In fact, you can see we're already pulling 611 watts, and we are going to start ticking up the watt hours. We're going to count them up, run it all the way down, and then I've actually got another AC watt meter, and actually one from Kilowatt. I'm kind of curious to find out how accurate this thing is. So I've ordered a decent one from Kilowatt. It's a little more expensive than this one, about double the cost. And I'm going to rerun this test with the Kilowatt meter when I get that in a couple days, and we'll find out how those numbers actually compare. So that'll be interesting, so stay tuned for that. All right, we'll check back when this thing is done and find out how many watt hours we caught. All right, the AC discharge usable capacity test is done. Let's find out what we got with this particular AC watt meter. All right, we got 1,740 watt hours. So out of a rated 2008 watt hours, that gives us about 87%, which is a little bit above average. So good numbers off the AC inverter. All right, I just picked up this Kilowatt watt meter. Now this runs about $30 as opposed to this other one that I have typically used, which runs about, I don't know, $15. Now it's got a backlight on it, and I like the big, easy to read digits there. But last time we took the reading with this one, we got 1,740 usable watt hours out of the AC inverter on this Rover 2000. So we're going to redo this test using the Kilowatt, and we're going to find out what kind of watt hours we get from this and see if there's any big difference. Now there is some natural variability, but I do have it set to 100%. So I've no doubt we would get a different number slightly, even if we use the same watt meter. But I'm curious if there's a a significant difference with this kilowatt. So let me go ahead and unplug this from grid power. So we are running off the AC inverter. Let me go ahead and add the same load I added before. So we're discharging at the same rate. And you can see we dropped from about 117 volts to just about 113 volts under load, or 112 volts under load. So here we are pulling 592 watts. So we will check back. We're going to let this thing run all the way down and see what our usable capacity is using that kilowatt meter. So we'll check back when it's done. All right, looks like our AC discharge capacity test is done. On the original meter, you can see we got 1,740 watt hours. Let's see how we did with the new kilowatt and see if it's any different. All right, not as many decimal places for precision here, but 1,720. So we don't know if it's 28, 25, 21. So just kind of have to round up, I guess. So 1,720 usable watt hours. So that is closer to about 85% of rated capacity. And I think we got 87% as measured by this watt meter. I'm inclined to believe that the kilowatt might be a little more accurate. So that's still 85%. It's still a good number and certainly ranks in the average category for usable capacity through the AC inverter. So good stuff out of the Rover 2000. And by the way, if you're looking for one of these, the old version of this would not retain the the data once you unplugged it. So if you didn't catch it right before the power went out, it would lose the data. You wouldn't be able to see it. This new version is model number P4460, and it's got the little P3 right there logo on it. I'll put a link in the description below if this is something you might want to check out. But I do like this. I finally did buy this one because it does now retain that value even when the power goes out. So something I think is a definite must-have if you're going to get a watt meter. All right, let's run an AC inverter load test on this Rover 2000. Now, despite the name, in this case, instead of a 2,000 watt AC inverter, this has a 2,200 watt AC inverter. So pure sine wave inverter rated for a continuous 2,200 watt load with a peak surge of 4,000 watts. So I've currently got a 2,000 watt load running on it right now. I'm going to add a little space heater that I've got running to the left of this guy. That's going to add about 300 watts, and then it's going to drop down. So we should be hovering just above that 2,200 watts. And we'll see if we can sustain that for 15 full minutes. So let me go ahead and add that load. We'll watch that jump. And we should be over the 2,200 watt limit here shortly. There we go. Let's go ahead and start the timer. And we'll see how long we can run. Alright, you can see we completed the 15-minute cycle, no problem. Alright, let's try kicking this way over the 2,200 limit. And let's see how long it'll let us get away with that. Let me go ahead and start that. This is about a 3-second delay or so. There we go. We're already getting the overload message. So it's already warning us, but it has not shut down yet. Coming up on 20 seconds. Hear those fans ramping up. That's pretty impressive. It has not tripped yet. Now it just tripped. So we got almost a minute and a half at well over, maybe, what's that, 20%? Yeah, 20% over the rated 2,200. We were at 450 watts over that 2,200 watt continuous, and it still continued to chug for nearly a full minute and a half. So that's some really good overhead on this Rover 2000. All right, since this BougeRV Rover 2000 can take up to 1,500 watts of solar, I've never actually tried to hook that much up to a power station before. So today we're actually going to exceed that slightly and do a little over paneling. And so over here I've got my BougeRV 200 watt solar panels in a series array, which is giving me 800 watts. And these are each about 20 or so, 21 volts open circuit. And so all together, and I'm going to measure this with my multimeter because it's always better to do that to be safe than sorry, right? And we're going to make sure that that series string over here does not exceed around 44 or so volts, 45 volts. The maximum input voltage on this Rover 2000 is 100 volts, right? And so then I've got two All Powers 400 solar panels here, 400 watt solar panels. And so I'm going to connect these two together in series. Actually, as I've already done, I've connected one of the MC4 leads over here. So these have an open circuit voltage rating of around, again, 44 or so, 45 volts. So putting these together should give me about 90 or so volts open circuit. Now, if I connect this string in series and this string in series and connect these two together in parallel, that will double the amperage. All right, so the short circuit current on these BougeRV panels should equal right now something in the neighborhood of around 12 amps. And that's roughly the same thing I can get, maybe 12.5 amps short circuit current on these guys right here, these All Powers 400 watts. So when I connect this string in series to this series string, and I do that with a parallel connection, I should end up with something just under 100 volts and something that is under that 30 amp cap that is also on that Rover 2000. So like I said, we're going to check all that before we actually connect it up. And the Rover 2000, by the way, is actually inside the house, so I've got a cable going back. All right, I got my two series strings connected together outside in parallel, so that should have given me right around 80 volts, and I just checked the voltage and I'm getting just about 78 volts, which is right in line, well under the 100 volt maximum. And it should give me somewhere in the neighborhood, depending on how much solar I'm getting, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 amps or so of current, maybe 22 amps, so well with under the 30 amp cap as well. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and power this thing on, or activate the screen. You can see we're still at 0 state of charge, or I'm sorry, 1% state of charge. Currently inputting 0 watts. So let me go ahead and flip the switch. And again, I double checked voltage to make sure I'm not going to hurt anything. So we should be connecting about 1600 watts rated of solar. So we'll see this tick up here at some point. There we go. It is kind of partly cloudy today, so I'm not sure we're going to get anywhere near that 1600 watt maximum, but we should get north of 800 as we are right now. But you can see here, even at 800 watts, it's giving me an estimate of 2.2 hours to top off this 2000 watt portable power station. And that's fantastic. So it's still climbing. All right, let's go ahead and let this thing run and just see if I can top this thing off. Should be no problem at all. All right, it is, let's see, about 3 hours later, and took a little longer than the original estimate because we had a lot of clouds that were very thick that moved in and out. So we went from having pretty good output to having very little output. But we still, in just less than about 3 hours, topped this thing off to 100% from basically 0%. So I really do love the maximum solar input capabilities of this Rover 2000. So very good stuff on the solar charging front. All right, we're going to do a pass-through charging test. I don't think this has UPS capability, but we will see if you can actually output through the AC inverter while it's being charged. So currently, I've got a little space heater here, and I've got a laptop connected. We're pulling about 218 watts on the output side. And let me go ahead and connect the grid power back up and see if we're still outputting or we have any interruptions. Okay, no interruptions. All right, as you can see, this the input is continuing to climb. I'm kind of curious where it'll top out. All right, so looks like we're topping out somewhere just north of 1400 watts, 1435. All right, so we're still powering the laptop. Now this is the same laptop I use for my UPS test, so it does not have a battery, and it will shut down if there's any disruption in power. So I'm just curious. I assume that we're drawing battery power right now on the laptop, but let me just pull the grid power again and see if the laptop stays running. Grid is disconnected, dropped to 0. Laptop is still running. All right, I don't think that's technically still UPS mode because I think it was pulling off the battery power the entire time. But that does prove that you can definitely charge the Rover 2000 while outputting AC power at the same time, and that's kind of an important feature and definitely passes that test. So I must admit that I'm very impressed with this new Rover 2000. It does check all of my need-to-have boxes and most of my significant nice-to-have boxes as well. Really, it kind of only lacks mobile app support, UPS mode, and wireless charging, and that's really the only things that it doesn't have. And personally, I'd gladly trade all those things for rugged build quality, expandability, and enough solar input capacity to still enable me to fully recharge the thing in a single day. All right, circling back to that Flash300 power station giveaway. And remember, this giveaway is part of BougeRV's 6th anniversary blowout sale that's going on between now, August 14th, and August 31st, 2023, where they'll be offering their biggest discounts of the year on all the products. So things like solar panels, portable fridge freezers, portable AC units, 12-volt batteries, and of course, power stations. Okay, here's how the giveaway is going to work. First, you're going to need to click the like button on this video and leave a comment below that includes the word Rover. Could be a capital R, small case R, doesn't really matter, but the word Rover. And then, and this is the important part, you need to head over to BougeRV.com and sign up for an account there on their website. It's a free account, obviously. And then 1 week from the day this video releases, we're going to randomly select 3 winners from the comments, and then BougeRV is going to verify that those winners are in fact signed up on BougeRV.com. That's why I said it's important. And the first 3 comments that we select that are confirmed to have followed all those rules will each win a Flash300 power station, just like this one right here. But not this particular one, because this one is mine, and I'd rather not part with it. So we're going to draw those 3 winners on Saturday, August 19th at 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and we'll announce them on Monday, August 21st, publicly via a community post once we verify everything. And then, as a reminder, you do have to have a U.S. shipping address to be eligible. So if you are one of the lucky 3 who is selected, I'll reach out with a direct response to your comment, and I'll tell you how to claim the new Flash300. So do make sure that you've got your notifications enabled for the channel here so you'll know if your comment was selected as a winner. And also, please do be on guard for scammers who try to impersonate me with fake giveaways and things like that. I will never ask you for any money, and you'll always be able to recognize my official account replying to your comment because it'll look like this right here. Not this. This is a disgusting parasite scammer. But this is me. Notice the little round backdrop behind my channel name. So good luck to everyone on the giveaway, and be sure to go check out this new cool Rover 2000 on the Indiegogo launch campaign and take advantage of that early bird pricing while it lasts. Per usual, I'll have a direct link to that in the description below. Okay, I think that's a wrap. I do hope you found at least something helpful in the video. If you did, please consider clicking that like button for me. I'd really appreciate that. And if you're not already a subscriber, well, maybe consider subscribing as well. I do have a bunch of cool projects in the video queue, and maybe you'll find one of those or maybe one of the other videos I already have up on my channel helpful in some way. So you have my sincere thanks for stopping by and watching this video, and I do hope you'll consider joining me for the next one. Until then, have fun out there.